the mga businessman. So, ang lahat pong style, order lang ka through online, then ihatod, door to door. Dala shipping fee, dala, delivery fee. That's right.
Okay, so there are types of channel distribution. First is the indirect distribution. So it is from the manufacturer to wholesaler to retailer to consumer.
Yes, that's the process. Flow or the process.
Flow, yes, process.
So the second one is the indirect distribution. This is something to do with the manufacturer and to the consumer.
Yes. So develop the habit of reviewing and reflecting upon the exact location where the customer meets the salesperson. Sometimes a change in place can lead to a rapid increase in sales. Yes, of course. Ilagid po ng i-consider ang lugar.
Yes. So, the entrepreneur must take the right choice about the very best location or place for the customers to receive essential buying information and the product, perhaps the service needed to make a buying decision. So, there is a questions here. In what way will it be changed? The second one, where else could be the products or services be offered? So those are the questions that you need to consider, especially when you are dealing or when you are becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes, of course. So yung where else could the products or services be offered? Pero pwede siya i-consider nato nga kung dili siya kung dili sa kaning lugar, no, or
if dili siya suitable on that place, lugar, on that location, then
try ta sa laing location.
Right. That's why you need to consider the topographical or the location itself.
Yes, of course. Okay, so the fifth element in the marketing mix is the packaging. Kani po, isa po din siya, ang packaging. So, this refers not just to the way in which a product is wrapped, but also to its overall presentation.
That's right.
And the way in which its physical arrangement is designed to attract the customer. Of course, kaning packaging naamon gid po ni siya factor
yes, I agree.
Sa pagka sa product. Of course, no, kay namo giuboy-uban ng mga customer na ako'y nailhan na akong amigo, no, nga kanang dili siya mo palit ana nga product because di siya ganahan sa packaging. Something like that. So, ila po nang i-appeal, no?
Yes.
This is also an important nga element.
That's right. So, again, remember, customers from the first impression within the first 30 seconds of seeing the products is it is one way of the elements of the company that you will showcasing your product.
Yes.
So, however, small improvements in the packaging or external appearance of the product or service can often lead to completely different reactions from the customers.
Yes, of course. The next P is the positioning. So, it refers to a product status in relation, no, to the wider market, and particularly how it lines up against competitors.
Yes. And the final P of the marketing mix is the so-called people. This is one of the very significant P in the PK. Kung wala ding tao, hindi may tabong negosyo. Kaya who will be the customers?
Pili pong ikaw na po.
So you will buy your own product.
That's it. Okay.
Insanity. Develop the habit of thinking in terms of the people inside and outside of the business who are responsible for every element of the so-called sales, marketing strategy, and the activities.
Yes, of course. Learners, no, to be successful in business, you must develop the habit of thinking in terms of exactly who is going to carry out, no, each task and responsibility.
Yes.
So in Sir Arno, in many cases, na it's not possible to move forward until you can attract and put the right person into the right position.
You need to remember that.
That is very hard, of course, no.
So again, many of the best business plans ever developed set on shelves today by the people who created could not find the key people who could execute those plans.
Yes, sir. So, those are the descriptions of marketing mix, also known as the P's, no, in marketing.
So, yes, learners, in your activity, the marketing mix or the 7 P's, direct, do not sleep, in relation to the business opportunity, So, again, Senior High School Constellations of Stars, we hope that you can acquire knowledge on the topics being shared to all of you.
So, stay tuned, learners, because we are going to take up another subject, which is the 3 I's, the inquiries, investigation, and immersion after a short break.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Tayo na, buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na, tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tangkop, tangkop time. Tayo na, buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na, tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. you now. Let's come and learn together, supporting.
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Hello, grade 12 students. Our next subject is the 3 I's, which is the inquiries, investigation, and immersion. So, bear with us today as we are going to continue our topic last week. So, last week, we talked and discussed reading on RRL.
Yes. So, that's right, Teacher Macmac. And for today's competency, at the end of this lesson, our learners, or you are expected, our learners are expected to select, cite, and synthesize the related literature.
Yes, of course. As in all forms of writing, it always pays to have a catchy opening or introduction.
Yes.
A wider discussion of the perspectives about the topic in the body paragraphs, and a sound closing paragraph or statement.
That's right, Teacher Macmac. And students, you need to remember that in writing a review of related literature, or the RRL, there are 3 major approaches in ordering or sequencing the topics and concepts that you are to include.
Yes, of course. Now, first, we have the chronological.
Yes.
No, so this approach in organizing to review puts emphasis on the timeline of
Yes.
development or the year the materials were written. For example, na din ha, makita ninyo, wala di ay. Okay, learners, ako na lang basahon, no? Okay, so Santos, no, in the year 2007,
Yes.
no, affirms that the literature is an efficient springboard towards introducing and teaching language skills among junior high school learners.
Yes.
And
Another example also, Teacher Macmac.
yes, Tesoro in the year 2008, meanwhile, found out that the literature-based classroom should always consider the context of the learners, the literature, and the context of the teacher.
Yes. And the second, Teacher Macmac, we have by topic or by concept.
Yes.
So this is something to do with the case if many or several authors have comparable opinion about the same topic or issue. It is appropriate to use this approach.
Yes, and of course, and sir, no, this manner of organizing the review highlights the interrelationship of concepts, no, that support the development of the current study. And this approach is applicable in all methods of research. So kani siya sir katong nga topic no by topic.
Yes, that's right.
Sa RRL no kanang kinahanglan nga ang ilahang pangitaon nga author nga nag-talk about sa unsa pud ilahang study.
That's right.
Yes.
So, this is our example. It is found out that the use of music in teaching mathematics has a significant effect in the motivations of learners. So, which contributed to their increase in numeracy skills. So, according to Gonzalez, 2016, Fernandez, 2013, and Dion issue on the year 2012.
Yes, okay. So next we have by author or by writer.
Yes.
So to build credibility with the claims that the research would like to stand on, presenting different authors even though they have similar ideas is highly advisable. So
Yes.
so in this time no kaning learners are going to find no
Yes.
authors no dili ka isa lang dapat mas maayo og daghan
Well, for
na
you to
same-
able to make references.
yes nga para mas strong yun na ang support sa imuhang
That's right.
study
Yes.
no? So each point of view of every author is explained and expound to back up the main idea being presented in the review. So muna na akong yun ganiha nga muna siya makatabang no para na strong gyud nga kuan ang imuhang study kay
Yes.
lain pong ideas nga
Nag-support.
na nag-support.
Mm.
Example of that is this, no? Clement, Juliaton, and Orleans, 2016, stressed that research suggests an action that denotes to look for something again. It is taken from the composition of the word re and search.
Yes. So, again, learners, always remember that the only major findings and conclusions, concept, hypothesis, and formulated theories should be included the review of related literature. And of course, bear it into your mind that these are never directly lifted or copied by, of course, summarized and synthesized.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Now, and also learners take note of this, the ethical ways of citing literature. So
Yes.
in writing the review of RRL, it is expected that a complete reference should be present in the list of references.
That's right.
Or bibliography section of your research paper. So first is
Copyright.
copyright, no? So this is also covered in Republic Act number 8293 or the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. So it differs from plagiarism as it may pertain the breach of contract between the authors and the publishers. So mahitungod no
Yes.
sa coverage or iyang scope of circulation and distribution of the original work.
Yes, that's why in indicating such a kanabang reference, you need to put author. And of course, kung dili
Unsa
man
nga-
galing author ang iyang pagtugot nga gamiton nimo ang iyahang gibuhat.
Yes.
Kaya that is part and parcel of his or her intellectual property. Kaya if not, pwede ka makasuhan of
Yes.
plagiarism.
Yes, that's
So
true.
now, learners, here are the following 3 terms to express recognition of author's ownership of borrowed idea. So this is the process, no? So
That is,
number 1.
according to
Yes,
Sharp.
according to Sharp 2012.
Yes.
So number 1 is acknowledgement. So you need to identify individuals who have contributed to the making of manuscript written at the start of your paper.
Yes, and of course we have the references or the bibliography, no? A whole list of literary materials including books, journals, theses, and dissertations along with other sources mentioned above.
Yes.
So references are arranged alphabetically.
That's right. So another one is the citation, no? Or in-text citation. So this is something to do with the reference of the author within the main body of the text, and of course, the citations can be done by paraphrasing, summarizing, or through quotations.
Okay, learners, now let's try this activity.
Yes.
So now try paraphrasing by restating this idea based on your own words.
Yes.
No? So remember, learners, na paraphrasing allows you to summarize and synthesize information from one or more sources, no? Focusing on the significant information, comparing and contrasting relevant details.
Now, here's the directions, no? Construct a paraphrase, then examine the original text below, and build a paraphrase from the range of phrases provided.
Yes, so since ang ato ang competency is select, no?
Yes,
So
that's
naa
right.
dito pwede ko mabalik sa direction, sir. Yes, construct a paraphrase, no? And of course in here they're going to select,
Yes.
no? And then examine the original text, and then of course build a paraphrase from the range of phrases provided. So here is the text, no? The Philippines is an agricultural country, yet productivity is declining as the country is facing a burgeoning population of more than 100 million.
Yes.
So where a majority of Filipinos are suffering from malnutrition, according to Briones, 2017, and according to Sanchez Jr., 2015.
Yes.
Building food systems that are more sustainable, resilient, and responsive should be the top priority. Product innovation has been evolving more and more towards the organic, sustainable, or environmentally friendly system.
All right. Good luck, learners, and we know that you can
You
that.
can do it.
Yes, and you can do it.
Yes, you can do it.
Direct.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so learners, please do not forget to write or
Your
take note
second attendance marker for the senior high school.
Senior, sir.
Yes, of course, ang atong pagpasalamat ngadto sa atong executive producer, the RBI master no less than Sir Gas Sapi. And of course, to the production team headed by Sir Alden Antonio and Sir Lay Inayo, and of course, to our
Senior high school learners.
Yes, senior high school learners. This has been your teacher R from Lorenzuta National High School.
Teacher Jade, this is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Advance bulk.
the Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Tangub, presents Ang Tangkub, Transforming Advancement in the New Normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media and instructional program crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies thematically layered in drama plays which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
Tayo na, buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na, tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. Tayo na. Let's come and learn together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na.
The Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Damgub, presents Ang Tangkub, transforming advancement in the new normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media. Crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies thematically layered in drama plays, which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
It's Tangkub, Tangkub, Tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tangkub time.
How are you, dear learners? We hope that everything is fine. Today, let us have a game. All you have to do is to guess the words written in the balls of letters by rearranging them to create a meaningful word. Use the given description as your clue. Are you excited? Hope you are. Let's get started. It is a conclusion or opinion that is formed because of known facts or evidence. That's right. The answer is inference.
Item number 2. Words of a piece of writing or speech. You're right. The answer is text.
Number 3. Something which shows that something else is true. The correct answer is evidence.
Item number 4. To repeat something written or said by another person exactly. The correct answer is quotes.
The 5th item is an information and educational context a learner already has before they learn new information. The correct answer is prior knowledge.
For the last item, to quote by way of example, authority, or proof. Correct. The answer is cite. Congratulations, learners! For sure, you got a perfect score. So, the answers are inference, text, evidence, prior knowledge, and cite. You will know more the meaning of these words that you have come across as we go on with our lesson.
That's right. You are now ready to learn another meaningful lesson, and that is how to cite an evidence to support a general statement. Let's keep going.
When we make claims, we provide our statement with facts and research in order to communicate a strong argument. When we have ideas about what we read, we need to cite text in order to support our claims. So, what is text evidence?
Text evidence uses specific examples and ideas from a text to help support and further define your own claims and ideas. Text evidence gives your words validity and strength. On the other hand, general statement is a claim that needs to be proven, presents the topic of a paragraph, essay, or book, And a general statement usually expresses the main point or main idea of a piece of writing. Let us have an example. The rainforest is home to many creatures. Monkeys, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and mammals live in the rainforests. Butterflies and anteaters also live in the forests. Now, can you tell me what is the general statement of the passage? That's right. The rainforest is a home to many creatures. The general statement expresses the main idea of the paragraph. And this claim needs to be proven. So, what is the textual evidence that support the claim of the general statement? That's right. Monkey, birds, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals live in the forest. This sentence is the text evidence that supports the claim of the general statement. It uses specific examples like monkeys, birds, and amphibians to make the claim of the general statement valid. Now that you already have an idea about the difference between a general statement and text evidence, let us learn more. There are actually important things to consider when citing textual evidences. Let us see what are these. Points to remember in citing text evidence. First, read and understand the text thoroughly. It is important to read the text thoroughly so that you may be able to identify not only the main idea of the text, but also the specific details to support the main idea. Number 2, identify the general statement of the main idea from the text you read. When you are able to identify the general statement of the main idea of the text, it would be easier for you to cite or search for the text evidence to support your claims. Third, go back to the text to find supporting statements to give your claims validity. Once the general statement is identified, that's the time to look for some specific details from the text that will support the general statement or idea. Number 4, add the quotes to your response. Finally, add the quotes of the author or use your own words to relay the idea of the author to support or explain your claim. Fifth, remember, not all ideas are obviously stated in the text. Sometimes we have to make an inference or conclusion. To do this, we use evidence from the text and our prior knowledge to understand the text better. This is so-called reading between the lines. Example, you are talking in the class while the class discussion is ongoing and suddenly your teacher makes a frowning face. Based from the text and your prior knowledge, it can be inferred that your teacher is angry with you is the general statement. And what evidence do we have in this claim? The evidence is, you are talking in the class while the discussion is ongoing. Your teacher is trying to make a point in her discussion, and suddenly she makes a frowning face. This is the text evidence through making inferences.
Here are a few examples of citing text evidence. Example number 1. Religious gatherings represent Filipinos' faithfulness to God. We may have different religions, but we commonly believe in one supreme being. Masses, processions, feast of saints, weddings, baptisms are Filipinos' best practices to celebrate life with God. From the text, the general statement is, religious gatherings represent Filipinos' faithfulness to God. Now, let us answer this question in order to identify the text evidence. What religious gathering activities represent Filipinos' faithfulness to God? Correct! It is masses, processions, feast of saints, weddings, baptisms are Filipinos' best practices to celebrate life with God. This line represents the text evidence. Let us have another example. Example number 2. I always dreamed to become a philanthropist, someone who dedicates oneself into helping others, someone who is capable of providing anything essential to others abundantly. In other words, I dreamed to become a wealthy person to be able to help and provide something for others, especially the poor ones. I am only 13 years old, but I have this desire to help many people. My young age frustrates me that I don't have the capacity to provide what others need. I don't come from a well-off family, by the way. It seems that I am hopeless to become what I want to be. In this case, the general statement is, I always dreamed to become a philanthropist. Why does the author dream of becoming a philanthropist? Here is the text evidence. I dreamed to become a wealthy person to be able to help and provide something for others, especially the poor ones.
Now that you already learned how to cite an evidence to support a general statement, get ready and answering your activity sheets. Directions. Read and understand each passage and answer the questions which focus on citing evidence to support a general statement. Choose the letter of the best answer. Before we end, always remember that you will sound more convincing if you will support your claims with evidences.
This demonstrates that you have fully researched your topic against any counterclaims. Evidences that support your claim would make any topic strong and believable.
Have a great time, learners. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Mama Halia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teachers, saying continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program,
Ang Tangku. Bye!
Bye!
Hello grade 7 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Carpentry Exploratory Course. For today's lesson, we will discuss the basic concept of measurement used in the world of carpentry. The two systems of measurements are the English and the metric system. The English system originated in England, which is also known as the U.S. customary unit of measurement, while the metric system was developed in France and is also known as the International Standard or SI. Part 1. Unit of measures, linear measurement. English, yard, foot, inch. Metric, meter, decimeter, centimeter, millimeter. Reading of measurements. Reading the inch. The inch is divided into segments called graduations. Each graduation represents a measurement in form of a proper fraction. The inch can be divided into 16, 8, 4, and 2 equal parts. Note, the illustration is not the actual length of an inch. Reading the centimeter and millimeter. 1 centimeter is equivalent to 10 millimeter. Converting units of measure. Here is a guide table in unit conversion. From English to English, 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. From metric to metric, 1 meter is equivalent to 10 decimeters. 1 decimeter is equivalent to 10 centimeters. English to metric. 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. 1 inch is equivalent to 25.4 millimeters. 1 foot is equal to 30.48 centimeters. Metric to English. 1 meter is equivalent to 3.28 feet. 1 meter is equivalent to 39.37 inches. Sample solutions in conversion. A. Foot to inches. 3 feet is equivalent to how many inches? The solution is, since 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches, multiply 3 feet by 12 inches. The answer is 3 feet is equivalent to 36 inches. B. Inch to feet. 48 inches is equivalent to how many feet? Solution. Divide 48 inches by 12 inches. The answer is 48 inches is equivalent to 4 feet. C. Centimeter to millimeters. 22 centimeters is equivalent to how many millimeters? Solution. Multiply 22 centimeters by 10 millimeters. The answer is 22 centimeters is equivalent to 220 millimeters. D. Inch to centimeter. 6 inches is equivalent to how many centimeters? Solution. Multiply 6 inches by 2.54 centimeter, and the answer is 6 inches is equivalent to 15.24 centimeters. There you have it, learners. Those are the basic concepts of measurement used in carpentry. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Carpentry Exploratory course and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember, 1 accurate measurement is worth 1,000 of expert opinions. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tangub Stars.
Hi grade 8 learners, are you now ready for another blast of meaningful lesson to learn? Alright, let us begin by identifying the word we are looking for. Surely, you're familiar with 4 pics, 1 word. Do study the set of pictures. You're given 10 seconds to give the right answer.
Now, do you already have an answer? Remember to use the clues like the letters revealed, such as C, H, and N. Alright, the correct answer is cohesion.
Today, we will be learning how to use appropriate cohesive devices in various types of speech. To get started, let us be guided by these terms and their definitions. Cohesive devices are words and phrases that connect ideas. Some people call them transition signals or discourse markers. Cohesion is how well parts of your texts, such as words, sentences, paragraphs, fit together. It is the way your text is linked together. There are actually 3 main types of cohesive devices. The first one, pronouns or reflexive pronouns. A simple cohesive device which refer to a previously mentioned noun. Example, he, she, it, they. Reflexive pronouns refer to a pronoun that was previously mentioned in a text. Example sentence, he introduced himself. Number 2, conjunctions. The most basic way to connect parts of text together. Examples, and, but, or, yet, and so. Example sentence, Netflix has many movies and shows, and its subscription is affordable. The third type of cohesive devices are adverbial conjunctions. A conjunctive adverb connects 2 independent clauses or sentences. Typically, adverbs modify other words, verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Examples, accordingly, additionally, again, all in all, also, and anyway. Example sentence, the weather forecast predicts rain. Accordingly, I will bring my umbrella.
Now, let us have some exercise of identifying cohesive devices. Let us read the directions. Directions from the excerpt of a farewell speech pick out the cohesive devices that you can find and write them on a piece of paper. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I remember thinking that it would be hard to say goodbye, and I was right. It is hard. Yet, I consider myself fortunate to have met such a special person. A person that we care so much about, that it makes saying goodbye to him or her hard. As we say goodbye, we remind ourselves that farewells are not forever, nor are they the end. They are simply words to say that we will miss you dearly and that we will remember you fondly. Although we may be separated by time and distance in the interim, nothing will diminish important role that you have and always will play in our lives. And so it is, and always will be with you as we carry you always close to our hearts. May we road rise up to meet you, may the wind be ever at your back, and until we meet again, may God hold on you in the hollow of His hand. So, have you found all the cohesive devices in the excerpt? The cohesive devices are it, myself, him or her, they, that, and, yet, as, nor, although, so, always, and until. For you to have a thorough knowledge about this lesson, let us discuss one type of cohesive device and its use. Let us discuss one type of cohesive device and how it is used in the sentence. Let us start with the first type. That is, the cohesive device which are pronouns or reflexive pronouns. Let us lift this sentence from the farewell speech. Yet, I consider myself fortunate to have met such a special person, a person that we care so much about, that it makes saying goodbye to him or her hard. Alright, in the given sentence, the cohesive device, specifically a reflexive pronoun myself, actually refer back to the first pronoun which is I. Hence, it is able to connect ideas more smoothly. The next underlined cohesive device, which is the pronoun him or her, actually refers back to the noun person in the sentence.
This time, let us proceed with the second type of cohesive device, and that is the conjunction. Let us analyze a sentence from the excerpt. As we say goodbye, we remind ourselves that farewells are not forever, nor are they the end. Now, the conjunction in the sentence, specifically a coordinating conjunction, is nor. If you could still recall, nor is the third coordinating conjunction in the famous acronym Fun Boys. In this sentence, it is used to connect a second negative idea from the negative idea in the first clause. The first idea is, we remind ourselves that farewells are not forever. And the second idea is, nor are they the end. Let us proceed with analyzing the last type of cohesive device, and that is adverbial conjunction. Let us read this sentence still coming from the excerpt. Although we may be separated by time and distance in the interim, nothing will diminish the important role that you have and always will play in our lives. In here, let us recall the meaning of adverbial conjunction or conjunctive adverbs. A conjunctive adverb connects two independent clauses or sentences. In the given sentence, the two clauses joined by the conjunctive adverb, the first clause is, we may be separated by time and distance in the interim, and the second clause is, nothing will diminish the important role you have and will always play in our lives. Now, although a conjunctive adverb, which is also called an adverbial conjunction, brings together two complete thoughts like a conjunction, its function is not limited to that, because it also uses the second clause to modify the first clause just like an adverb.
Now that you have already learned that cohesive devices could be pronouns, reflexive pronouns, conjunctions, adverbial conjunctions, or conjunctive adverbs, you can use any of this when writing any type of speech.
This time, get your activity sheet in English and do what is expected of you. Activity number 1, directions. Read this excerpt from the speech of Acting Secretary of Foreign Affairs Enrique A. Manalo, then complete the table showing the different types of cohesive devices used in the speech. Activity number 2, directions. Read the statement below, then do the given task. Write your answer on a separate sheet of paper.
Writing cohesively is an important skill to master. Cohesion is how you link the sentences and ideas correctly for clarity and conciseness. In turn, a cohesive text will be easier to read and understand. Don't forget that the function of communication, whatever form it may take, oral or written, verbal or non-verbal, is a shared understanding.
Exactly. May you always make your readers or listeners understand your message. And the use of cohesive devices is a plus factor. Thank you for your time, grade 8 learners, and congratulations for finishing this lesson. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Mama Halia,
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, saying continue to love, care, and share, still here in your one and only educational TV program,
Ang Tangkub.
Goodbye!
Hello grade 8 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Computer Hardware Servicing Exploratory course. For today's lesson, we will explore the world of computer memory. Computer memory. Although memory is technically any form of electronic storage, it is used most often to identify fast, temporary forms of storage. If your computer's central processing unit or CPU had to constantly access the hard drive to retrieve every piece of data it needs, it would operate very slowly. When the information is kept on the memory, the CPU can access it much more quickly. Most forms of memory are intended to store data temporarily. The CPU accesses memory according to a distinct hierarchy, whether it comes from permanent storage or the hard drive, or input such as the keyboard. Most data goes to the random access memory first, or the RAM. The CPU then stores pieces of data it will need to access, often in a cache, and maintains certain special instructions in the register. Read-only memory or room chips are located in the motherboard. Room chips contain instructions that can be directly accessed by the CPU. Basic instructions for booting the computer and loading the operating system are stored in room. Room chips retain their contents even when the computer is powered down. The contents cannot be erased or changed by normal means. Random access memory or RAM is the temporary storage for data and programs that are being accessed by the CPU. RAM is a volatile memory, which means that the contents are erased when the computer is powered off. The more RAM in a computer, the more capacity the computer has to hold and process large programs and files, as well as enhance system performance. Storage drives. Storage drives read or write information on magnetic or optical storage media. The drive can be used to store data permanently or to retrieve information from a media disk. Storage drives can be installed inside the computer case, such as a hard drive. For portability, Some storage drives can connect to the computer using a USB port, a FireWire port, or an SCSI port. These portable storage drives are sometimes referred to as removable drives and can be used on multiple computers. Hard drive. A hard drive or hard disk drive is a magnetic storage device that is installed inside the computer. The hard drive is used as permanent storage for data. In a Windows computer, the hard drive is usually configured as the C drive and contains the operating system and applications. The hard drive is often configured as the first drive in the boot sequence. The storage capacity of a hard drive is measured in billions of bytes or gigabytes or GB. The speed of a hard drive is measured in revolutions per minute or RPM. Multiple hard drives can be added to increase storage capacity. Optical drive. An optical drive is a storage device that uses lasers to read data on the optical media. There are three types of optical drives: the compact disc or CD, digital versatile disc or DVD, and Blu-ray disc or BD. External flash drive. An external flash drive, also known as a thumb drive, is a removable storage device that connects to a USB port. An external flash drive uses the same type of non-volatile memory chips as solid-state drives and does not require power to maintain the data. These drives can be accessed by the operating system in the same way that other types of drives are accessed. There you have it, learners. Those are the things you need to bear in mind when it comes to computer memory. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Computer Hardware Servicing Exploratory course and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember, memories are timeless treasures of the heart. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tanggub Stars.
Hello, Mamahal.
Hello, Pinky.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Assuming that you are at the shopping mall with your best friend and you go to your favorite store. Then, your best friend picks up a really cool shirt and quickly stuffs it in her bag. And she says that she is always doing that, but she had never gotten caught. What will you do?
Well, I will stop her and tell her that shoplifting is actually a crime. I will tell her that she may not get caught or have been caught yet, but if she will be caught, then complications will happen. She might get imprisoned, and that will cause a bad reputation, not just for her, but for her family as well. And as a friend, I will not let that happen.
Wow, what a nice answer. Another question. What if you had known a classmate of yours in your class who cheated on the third periodical exam? He got an almost perfect score, while you get a failing score. What will you do?
Well, as a friend, I will ask him why he did it. And I will listen to him and give him a piece of advice that cheating, for it has a negative impact on him, and it is not justifiable that he may pass but have not learned at all in the lesson. On the other hand, if he will be caught, that means he will be embarrassed or be humiliated.
Amazing! You are now ready to join a beauty contest and face the Q&A portion.
I think I already know the lesson, and it is about sharing one's personal opinion.
You get it right, Mamahal. Today, we will learn how to share personal opinion about the ideas listened to.
This topic will allow you to broaden your knowledge about any information you have listened to and be able to share your perspective and thoughts about it through different forms of communication.
In addition, this will develop our critical thinking skills.
This time, let us get ourselves acquainted with the guiding principles for effective listening. First, stop talking. Remember, you cannot listen as you are speaking. Number 2, pay attention. Give your full attention to the speaker. You cannot communicate if both parties are not actively involved in the process. Number 3, read nonverbal cues. Along with hearing and processing the words of the speaker, you should pay careful attention to the nonverbal language being communicated. Watch your eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, posture, changes, and any physical response, for example, fidgeting. Number 4, ask questions. A good way to ensure that you have accurately understood the message is to ask questions. Number 5, resist distractions. Stop doodling. Do not shuffle papers, draw, or doodle when you are listening. Number 6, don't interrupt. Even though you may get angry or upset by something the speaker says, do not interrupt. Let the speaker finish and resist the temptation to focus on your emotional response to the speaker's words. 7, open your mind. Try to look at the situation from the speaker's point of view and not just your own. Be flexible. And number 8, or lastly, paraphrase. Use your own words to mirror what you have heard. Restating information in your own words helps you to remember what you have heard. Now that you know the guiding principles for effective listening, please listen to the song Perfect by Simple Plan and share your point of view by answering the process questions that follow. Process questions. Number 1, what is the message of the song? Number 2, what do you do when your parents don't support your plan? Number 3, how do you stop thinking you're not good enough? Lastly, take a stand on a statement, we will never know the love of our parents till we become parents ourselves. Enjoy listening and take your time, learners.
Think back and talk to me. Did I grow up according to plan? And do you think I'm wasting my time doing things I wanna do? But it hurts when you disapprove all along. And now I try hard to make it. I just wanna make you proud. Gonna be good enough for you. Can't pretend that I'm alright. And you can't change me, 'cause we lost it all. Nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. I try not to think about the pain I feel inside. Did you know you used to be my hero? All the days you spent with me now seem so far away, and it feels like you don't care anymore. And now I try hard to make it. I just wanna make you proud. I'm never gonna be good enough for you. I can't stand another fight. And nothing's alright. nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Nothing's gonna change the things that you said, and nothing's gonna make this right again. Please don't turn your back. I can't believe it's hard just to talk to you, but you don't understand. Cause we lost it all, and nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Cause we lost it all, and nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect.
Now, let us answer the questions one by one. Perhaps some of these responses are similar to the ones you scribbled down on your notes. For the first question is, what is the message of the song? Perfect is a song by a Canadian rock band, Simple Plan. This song is about a child telling his or her parents that he or she is not born perfect and can never be perfect in life. On the other hand, it also tells that his or her parents did not support any of his or her plans. But despite their refusal to support him or her, he or she uses the song to tell them that he or she may not be perfect and can never be, and that he or she is sorry for being unable to become perfect for them. The second question is, what do you do when your parents don't support your plan? First is, you need to try to understand why. Parents, being older, have probably seen the problems that may come along with if you choose a negative path. Even though our parents may seem annoying, they actually come from a good place, with good reason to object and make us re-examine our choices. For the third question, what is your stand on the statement, we will never know the love of our parents till we become parents ourselves? The answer is, parents know best for their children and they may be misinterpreted until their children will become parents themselves. It's only when we become parents that we understand their discipline and protection.
Let us have more exercises. Listen carefully to the questions that require your response in a complete sentence. You may assess the responses you made based on the given rubric. Here are the questions. Question number 1. How will you react if your friend asks you to cover for a mistake you made? Question number 2. In what way were you taught good values by your parents? Question number 3. What would you do if you and your mother will have a disagreement? And the last question is, what would you do if you realize you won't be able to complete the performance task given by your teacher on time? Great job, learners! Surely, you have your respective responses. Yet, let us take a look at these following possible answers. Going back to question number 1, how will you react if your friend asks you to cover for a mistake he made? Here is the possible answer. It's nice to have a friend, but if he or she will commit a mistake and want me to cover for him or her, I won't do it, for I don't want to make another mistake. Question number 2. In what way were you taught good values by your parents? Possible answer: one of the good values that my parents taught me is to accept people's idea or be open-minded and respect another. Question number 3. What would you do if you and your mother will have a disagreement? The possible answer is, I will try to be polite in speaking my thoughts, but I will respect whatever it is that she has to say. Question number 4. What would you do if you realize you won't be able to complete the performance test given by your teacher on time? Possible answer is, if I would be unable to complete the performance test given by my teacher on time, I will tell her frankly and I ask for an extension of the said performance test, which I will surely finish. As they say, turning in a task late is better than turning nothing at all. So, how would you assess yourselves based from the given rubric? Are you excellent, competent, or needs work? Well, if you think you are excellent or competent, great job, learners. But if you think you need improvement, do not worry, learners. You surely have a lot to learn still. And as long as you won't stop, you will be able to improve so much.
Now that you have learned the skill of sharing personal opinion to the ideas listened to, it's time to answer your activity. Get your activity sheet to help us assess how much you have learned from this lesson.
We are at times defined based on the opinions we share. The power of expressing our thoughts brings new ideas and innovation to improve our lives. Yet, let us be truthful in expressing ourselves so that others would understand what we believed in and what we are. Taking a stand on a particular issue allows us to understand ourselves and improve our self-confidence.
Have a great time, learners. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Ma'am Mahalia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, saying continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program,
Ang Tangku.
Goodbye!
Bye!
Hello grade 9 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Bread and Pastry Production 9. For today's lesson, we will discuss the basic steps in baking. Basic steps in baking. Read the recipe carefully to know if you have all the ingredients and the utensils needed and if you understand the entire procedure. Check all the necessary ingredients, gather and arrange them according to the sequence of their preparation. Prepare all the utensils needed for measuring, mixing, and baking. Preheat the oven. Set the oven knob at the desired temperature. Prepare the pan or pans needed. Make sure to use the correct pan size. If it needs greasing, brush the pan bottom with a little shortening. For baking purposes, don't use butter or margarine for greasing because these easily burn and will produce a very brown crust. Measure the ingredients using correct utensils according to the amounts required in the recipe. Mix the batter or dough when filling pans. Make sure you don't overfill. Fill about 2/3 full to give an allowance for the rising. Bake in the preheated oven. Put the pan at the center rack. Test for doneness. For butter cakes, prick the center of the cake with a toothpick. If it comes out clean, then it is done. For chiffon and sponge cakes, press lightly with fingers. If it springs back, Then it is done. Pies and pastries are done when the crust have turned golden brown, crisp, and flaky. Cool the baked products. For butter cakes, put the pan on a wire rack and leave to cool for 10 minutes. Afterwards, invert pan to remove the cake and cool it completely. For sponge and chiffon cakes, invert pan at once in wire racks. Then, decorate. There you have it, learners. Those are the basic steps in baking. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Bread and Pastry Production 9 and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember that according to the former President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, there is no excuse for not trying. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tanggub Stars.
Mamping, do you believe that a grain of corn can actually grow as big as this hen's egg?
Huh? What kind of technology was used in that kind of corn? Is that part of that what they called a genetically modified organism?
We will know the answer to that question in a little while. What's up, grade 10 learners? It's another wonderful episode to learn another meaningful lesson in English. Still here in your one and only educational TV program, Ang Tangkub, where you learn new things the fun and easy way possible.
Last meeting, we learned how to critique a literary selection using the Marxist approach. This time, we will learn another approach in critiquing a literary piece, which is the formalist approach.
Let us first define formalist criticism. What is formalist criticism? Formalist criticism is defined as a literary criticism approach which provides readers with a way to understand and enjoy a work for its own inherent value as a piece of literary art. Formalist critics spend a great deal of time analyzing irony, paradox, imagery, and metaphor. They're also interested in a work's setting, characters, symbols, and point of view.
Broadly, it is concerned exclusively with the text, in isolation from the world, author, or reader.
These are some of the questions that a formalist critic would ask. First question, how is the work structure unified?
Next, how do various elements of the work reinforce its meaning?
What recurring patterns, repeated or related words, images, etc. can you find? What is the effect of these patterns or motifs?
Fourth question, how does repetition reinforce the theme or themes?
Fifth question, how does the writer's diction reveal or reflect the work's meaning?
Next, what is the effect of the plot and what parts specifically produce that effect?
Furthermore, it also asks the question, what figures of speech are used? Metaphors, simile, etc.
The eighth one, note the writer's use of paradox, irony, symbol, plot, characterization, and style of narration. What effects are produced? Do any of these relate to one another or to the theme?
Next, is there a relationship between the beginning and the end of the story?
What tone and mood are created at various parts of the work?
And you can also ask, how does the author create tone and mood? What relationship is there between tone and mood? And the effect of the story.
Lastly, how do the various elements interact to create a unified whole? Now, let us analyze the story entitled A Grain as Big as a Hen's Egg, written by a great and award-winning author, Leo Tolstoy.
But before we do that, let us read first the story. A Grain as Big as a Hen's Egg by Leo Tolstoy. One day, some children found in a ravine a thing shaped like a grain of corn with a groove down the middle, but as large as a hen's egg. A traveler passing by saw the thing, bought it from the children for a penny, and taking it to town, sold it to the king as a curiosity. The king called together his wise men and told them to find out what the thing was. The wise men pondered and could not make head or tail of it. Till one day, when the thing was lying on a windowsill, a hen flew in and pecked at it till she made a hole in it. And then everyone saw that it was a grain of corn. The wise men went to the king and said, "It is a grain of corn." At this, the king was much surprised, and he ordered the learned men to find out when and where such corn had grown. The learned men pondered again and searched in their books, but could find nothing about it. So they returned to the king and said, "We can give you no answer. There is nothing about it in our books. You will have to ask the peasants. Perhaps some of them may have heard from their fathers when and where grain grew such a size." So the king gave orders that some very old peasants should be brought before him, and his servants found such a man and brought him to the king. Old and bent, ashy pale and toothless, he managed with the help of 2 crutches to totter into the king's presence. The king showed him the grain, but the old man could hardly see it. He took it, however, and felt it with his hands. The king questioned him, saying, "Can you tell us, old man, where such a grain as this grew? Have you ever bought such corn or sown such in your fields?" The old man was so deaf that he could hardly hear what the king said, and only understood with great difficulty. "No," he answered at last. "I never sowed nor reaped any like it in my fields, nor did I ever buy any such. When we bought corn, the grains were always as small as they are now. But you might ask my father. He may have heard where such grain grew." So the king sent for the old man's father, and he was found and brought before the king. He came walking with 1 crutch. The king showed him the grain, and the old peasant, who was still able to see, took a good look at it. And the king asked him, "Can you not tell us, old man, where corn like this used to grow? Have you ever bought any like it or sown any in your fields?" Though the old man was rather hard of hearing, he still heard better than his son had done. "No," he said, "I never sowed nor reaped any grain like this in my field. As to buying, I never bought any, for in my time money was not yet in use. Everyone grew his own corn, and when there was any need, we shared with one another. I do not know where corn like this grew. Ours was larger and yielded more flour than present-day grain, but I never saw any like this. I have, however, heard my father say that in his time the grain grew larger and yielded more flour than ours. You had better ask him." So the king sent for this old man's father, and they found him too, and brought him before the king. He entered walking easily and without crutches. His eye was clear, his hearing good, and he spoke distinctly. The king showed him the grain, and the old grandfather looked at it and turned it about in his head. "It is long since I saw such a fine grain," said he, and he bit a piece off and tasted it. "It's the very same kind," he added. "Tell me, grandfather," said the king, "when and where was such corn grown? Have you ever bought any like it or sown any in your fields? And the old man replied, Corn like this used to grow everywhere in my time. I lived on corn like this in my young days, and fed others on it. It was grain like this that we used to sow and reap and thrash. And the king asked, Tell me, grandfather, did you buy it anywhere, or did you grow it yourself? The old man smiled. In my time, he answered, no one ever thought of such a sin as buying or selling bread, and we knew nothing of money. Each man had corn enough of his own. Then tell me, grandfather, asked the king, where was your field? Where did you grow corn like this? And the grandfather answered, my field was God's earth. Wherever I plowed, there was my field. Land was free. It was a thing no man called his own. Labor was the only thing men called their own. Answer me 2 more questions, said the king. The first is, why did the earth bear such grain then, and has ceased to do so now? And the second is, why your grandson walks with 2 crutches, your son with 1, and you yourself with none? Your eyes are bright, your teeth sound, and your speech clear and pleasant to the ear. How have these things come about? And the old man answered, these things are so because men have ceased to live by their own labor and have taken to depending on the labor of others. In the old time, men lived according to God's law. They had what was their own and coveted not what others had produced.
Now, let us look the novel using the critical eyes of a formalist critic and answer the following questions. Number 1. What recurring patterns, repeated or related words, images, and etc. can you find? What is the effect of these patterns or motifs? Second question. How does repetition reinforce the theme? Third question. What literary devices are used in the story? Let us first get the gist by looking at the story's important events. For the exposition, one day, some children found in a ravine a thing shaped like a grain of corn with a groove down the middle, but as large as a hen's egg. Rising action. The king gets the corn. The king then asks his wise men around. For the climax, finally, they called the grandfather of the first old peasant who had no crutches, can see clearly and speak clearly, unlike the first 2 oldies who were cold. The king didn't expect the answers he would get. And for the following action, the old man answered to the king's question. These things are so because men have ceased to live by their own labor and have taken on depending on the labor of others. In the old time, men lived according to God's law. They had what was their own and coveted not what others had produced. Now, let us answer the first question. What recurring patterns or repeated or related words, images, etc. can you find? What is the effect of these patterns or motifs? What has been repeated thrice in the story is the question of the king. The question is, can you tell us, old man, where such grain as this grew? Have you ever bought this corn or sown such in your fields? The effect of repetition is to clearly point out the concept of degeneration. Shockingly, the first peasant, who was the younger, was more fragile as depicted in the description. Old and bent, ashy pale, and toothless. He just managed with the help of the 2 crutches to totter into the king's presence. The second peasant, who is the father of the first peasant, is a way better in terms of physical well-being as described in this line. The peasant's father was different from his son. He walked with 1 crutch and he hears and sees better compared to his son. He was still able to see and hear better compared to his son did. The third peasant, as the grandfather of the first peasant, is the healthiest as described in this line. He entered walking easily without crutches. His eye was clear, his hearing good, and he spoke distinctly.
Now, let us proceed with the second question. How does the repetition reinforce the theme? The theme is reinforced by the use of repetition since it emphasizes the theme, which is degeneration, and it also discusses what caused it. This is also the entire moral of the story. The theme of the story has something to do with contentment. We were told that according to the earlier times, people lived according to God's law. They labored for what they ate and coveted not what others had produced. Hence, they yielded good quality produce, ate what was their own, and lived healthier lives. However, with the passage of time, money was introduced. People started depending on others and started to become greedy. This resulted to poor quality of produce and their health deteriorated. A grain as big as a hen's egg talks about coveting, sin, and money. A grain as big as a hen's egg makes a point by saying that men and women have degenerated into quite arrogant and lazy society, which eventually has sadly become the norm. Now, let us proceed with answering the third question. What literary devices are used in the story? Some literary devices used in the story is symbolism, such that the questions of the king symbolizes power. The story also uses satire and surprise ending. The king did not actually expect the answer of the third peasant, which was the oldest, yet of good physical shape. It is seen when he replied, "These things are so because men have ceased to live according to their own labor, and have taken to depending on the labors of others. In the old time, men lived according to God's law. They had what was their own and coveted not what others had produced." Alright, so that is how you explicate a literary piece based on the formalist approach. Remember to look into the story itself by checking its elements, literary devices, and figures of speech.
Now that you have already the knowledge on how to critique a literary piece using the formalist approach, it is now your time to get your activity sheet in English and read the directions.
Directions. Read the story of Kish by Jack London on page 299 to 305 on your English textbook and critique it using the formalist approach.
Dear learners, we hope that you learned something from the literary piece we critiqued a while ago using the formalist approach. Keep the lesson you learned from the story of Tolstoy, A Grain as Big as a Hen's Egg, which tells us to value hard work and contentment.
Exactly, we should not take credit for something that we did not work for. Congratulations for finishing this lesson, grade 10 learners. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Ma'am Mahalia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, saying continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program,
Ang Tangkub.
Goodbye!
Bye!
Hello grade 10 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Housekeeping 10. For today's lesson, we will identify the different cleaning tools used in housekeeping. Cleaning tools used in housekeeping. Dusters. Materials for dusters are made of soft cotton, flannel, or artificial feathers. Dusters are used for removing dust and for wiping various surfaces. Dustpans. Used to collect dust and dirt with the help of a broom. Mops. Useful tools in wiping dirt and dust from the floor. Mops comes in various sizes for specific purposes. Brooms. Brooms are used in sweeping dirt and dust from the floor and other areas that need cleaning. It may be made from man-made materials like plastic or from natural materials like the soft broom or walis tambo made from tiger grass and the stick broom or walis tingting made from spine of dried coconut leaves. Brushes. Brushes are designed with different sizes and shapes for specific cleaning purposes. After use, brushes should be washed with soap and dried in the sun to last longer. Types of brush. Toilet brush is used for cleaning bidets and toilet bowl. Sink brush is used for unclogging sinks. Scrub brush is used for cleaning sturdy dirt from floors and walls. Carpet hand brush is an alternative for vacuum in cleaning the carpet. Cane brush is a soft nylon brush used to prevent damage to cane surfaces. Soft hand brush goes with a dustpan and is used to collect dust. Wall brush is a soft brush with long handles to clean hard-to-reach walls. Feather brush is used to clean delicate surfaces like lampshades, televisions, and etc. Bucket or pail, used for holding water or detergent while cleaning. Garbage bins are available in plastic with lid to hold gathered garbage and trash while cleaning. Caddy basket, used to hold small tools and chemicals while cleaning. Squeegee, used to gather water while cleaning window glasses. There you have it, learners. Those are the different cleaning tools used in housekeeping. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Housekeeping 10 and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember that according to Brian Herbert, the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tangub Stars.
We hope that you have learned the most essential lessons you need to master. See you on our next episodes. This has been Ang Tangkub.
It's Tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya.
afternoon to all our junior high school learners, especially, of course, to everyone who's watching, of course, by FB Live at Dapat Tayo Tanggub and Astral Academy Facebook pages. Alright, so hello there to all our junior high school learners. Okay, so for this afternoon, we will be learning, grade English subjects. Alright, so from grade 7, we have this competency, Sir Jade.
Cite evidence to support a general statement.
Yes, that is correct. So when we make claims, we provide our statement with facts or research in order to communicate a strong argument. So when we have ideas about what we read, we need to cite text evidence to support our claim. So we will start first with our general statement. So what is a general statement?
Okay, so it is a claim that needs to be proven, and also it presents the topic of a paragraph, essay, or book. And usually it expresses the main point or main idea of a piece of writing.
Yes, that's correct. So in order for the general statement, of course, to be believable, we need to provide text evidence. So the text evidence uses specific examples and ideas from a text to help support and further define our claims and ideas. And also, it would give words validity and our words some validity and, of course, strength. So, for example, we have this sentence. So this is the general claim, for example, the rainforest is home to many creatures. Okay, the succeeding or the next sentence that will follow could be the text evidence. So why do we say that the rainforest is home to many creatures? Because we have monkeys, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and mammals live in the rainforest. So butterflies and anteaters also live in the forest. So what is the general statement of the passage?
So it is the rainforest is home to many creatures.
Yes, the first statement is the general statement. So this is expresses the main idea of the given paragraph, and also this needs to be proven. So what could be the text evidence that would support the claim of the general statement?
So the monkeys, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and mammals live in the forest. So
Okay,
that is the
correct.
support.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Jay. So this sentence is the text evidence that supports the claim of the general statement. So it uses specific examples. So like why did we say that is home to many creatures? So we actually enumerated some of the creatures that live in the rainforests. Okay, so let us move further. So there are points to remember in citing text evidence. So the first one is to read and understand the text thoroughly. So we need to have a general understanding of the text first. And of course, we need to also identify the general statement or the main idea from the text we read. And
the third one, go back to the text to find supporting statements to give your claims valid. And then the fourth one, add the quotes to your response. And then the fifth one, make an inference or conclusion.
Yes, that is correct. So for example, let us have this. I think this is how they will be rated, how you will be evaluated at the end of reading your SLM, for example. So your task is actually to read and understand the passage and answer the questions, which focus on citing evidence and support a general statement. So choose only the letter of your response. So we have here a paragraph. What is it, Sir Jade?
Okay, so my mother brought us up single-handedly. It was an extraordinary task for a woman so frail dealing with 3 adolescent children. But she managed. She did not finish high school, but her deft hands had skillfully eked out a living for the 4 of us. She was good at knitting. Her job tided us over until the eldest got a diploma of teaching. Then she put up a sari-sari store to send the other children to college. Mother wanted us all to get a college degree, and she had sacrificed much to see us through.
Okay, that's correct. So we have indicated there the source. This is actually an excerpt, coming from a shawl for Anita, English 7. All right. So which evidence, if we have this statement or question, which evidence from the text best shows that the mother has a special skill. So we have here some choices. Can we read this, Sir Jade?
Yes, okay. A, she was good at knitting. B, she did not finish high school. C, my mother brought us up single-handedly. D, then she put up a sari-sari store to send the other children to college.
Alright, so the special skill here that we are referring is that, and that the correct answer is letter A. She was good at knitting. So this is a specific skill that the mother used in order to raise her children single-handedly. So when we say single-handedly, that means she's a single mother, but she managed to send all her children to
Yes.
school. Okay, so we have here number 2, Sir Jade.
Okay, number 2, mother could hardly refuse, but I knew that the task was just too much for her. Her fingers had lost their flexibility. Rheumatic pain told on her knuckles that felt a million pins pricking. My heart went out to her every time I saw her painfully knitting the needles into the yarn.
Okay, that's right. So we have here the question, which evidence from the text shows that the task of knitting was just too much for the mother? The choices are, Sir Jade.
Letter A, my heart went out to her. B, mother could hardly refuse. C, the task was just too much. D, her fingers had lost their flexibility.
Alright, so although you might get tempted to answer letter C because this is exactly quite the same words used in the in the stem of our question. You have there the task of knitting was just too much. So letter C, the task was just too much. But you were told that the evidence from the text, okay, the evidence could be that her fingers had just lost their flexibility. So that could be our reason why we say that the task was too much. It could make someone lose their flexibility.
Okay.
All right. So the correct answer is D there. Okay. So we'll go to your activity on your SLM. The directions is just to read and understand each passage and answer the questions which focus on citing evidence to support general statement. Choose the letter of the best answer. And I think, dear learners, they can actually make this. They can answer very well. Just be mindful of the clues inside the paragraph. So more discussions after a short break. This is
Astral Academy Cyber School. And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Alright, so hi there to all our grade 8 learners
Yes.
and their competency.
Use appropriate cohesive devices in various types of speech.
Okay, so listen attentively because that is what you are to do on your SLM. So what is cohesive or what are cohesive devices first? So these are words and phrases that connect ideas. Some people call them transition signals or discourse markers. So we use cohesive devices because we wanted to achieve cohesion. So if you remember the CUE system or the Q system, cohesion, unity, and emphasis, so it is one of the things that we need to have when we write a paragraph, for example, or any composition for that matter. So what is cohesion, Sir Jade?
Okay, so cohesion is how well parts of your text, words, sentences, paragraphs fit together. And it is the way your text is linked together.
That is correct. So you need to have, you need to use cohesive devices in order to achieve cohesion. So there are actually 3 types of cohesive devices. The first one is through the use of pronouns, especially the reflexive pronoun. So a reflexive pronoun, for example, is a simple cohesive device which refers to the previously mentioned noun. So like this could be he, she, it, they. These are the pronouns, and then the reflexive pronouns referring to the pronouns that was previously mentioned in the text are called the reflexive pronouns. So for example, he introduced himself. So the word himself is our reflexive pronoun because it goes back to our subject, which is he. Alright, so we
Alright,
also
yes.
have the second type, Sir Jade, is?
The second type is conjunctions, no? So conjunctions, the most basic way to connect parts of the text together. So ang yang mga examples, those are and, but, or, yet, and, so.
Yes, that's correct. So if you could still remember your fanboys, so these are also conjunctions. There are 3 types of conjunctions. The fanboys could be the coordinating conjunctions. You have for, A for and for nor, boys, B, but, or, yet, okay, and of course, so. So example sentence, Netflix has many movies and shows and its subscription is affordable. So if you have that, for example, our conjunction there is and it is a coordinating conjunction. So the third type of cohesive devices is?
The adverbial conjunctions.
Yes.
So a conjunctive adverb connects 2 independent clauses or sentences. Typically, adverbs modify other words. So verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. So examples, accordingly, additionally, again, all in all, also, and anyway.
And that is correct. So our example sentence would be the weather forecast predicts rain. Accordingly, I will bring my umbrella. So why? Because you have there the previous statement that there is a forecast of an upcoming rain. Okay, so adverbial conjunction connects 2 clauses, independent clauses or sentences together using, of course, these adverbial conjunctions. So there are many adverbial conjunctions, okay, and those are just some. So for your activity on your SLM, the directions would be to read the excerpt from the speech of Acting Secretary of Foreign Affairs Enrique A. Manalo, then complete the table showing the different types of cohesive devices used in the speech. For example, you have there, the table has 3 columns. So you have there the pronouns / reflective pronouns. You have the conjunctions and also the adverbial conjunctions. Okay, so you need just to categorize. If ever you are to read, our students just need to classify the following cohesive devices according to their type.
Yes.
So for example, you were able to see there, so it is a pronoun, so write it on the first column. So for example,
you have and, so it should be placed on the
Conjunction.
second column.
Yes, second column,
And
conjunction.
of course, if you have certainly, it must be placed on the third column, and so on and so forth until the entire paragraph or entire text is covered.
Yes.
Okay, so you also have activity number 2, and that is to read the statement below or the statement found on your SLM, then do the given task. For example, so you have a situation. Your situation is that, yes, Sir Jade?
Okay, so Leo did not complete his class assignment. Instead, he spent his time with friends. Therefore, he was required to write a promissory note.
Okay, so in the given situation, you also have there some use of conjunctions. You have instead and therefore. Okay, so your task is to suppose that you were a parent of Leo. So Leo did not do well in school and received the note coming from Mrs. Manalo or Miss Manalo. So compose the following letter to your son's teacher. Use the cohesive device that will guide you when you write. So the first part is done for you. So there's actually a stem, a guide there on how to do it. For example, dear Mr. Manalo, I'm sorry to hear that Leo did not get his work done and has caused trouble in class. So we have already talked about it, and you continue this one until you're done. Sincerely, Mrs. Sanico. So that's how you are to do it, our grade 9 learners. Okay, so stay tuned because we will still be right back after a short break.
This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. Come and learn to speak and write of the language of the world. Learn to understand the language of the world. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we write. This is the English way.
And we are back still here in Astral
Academy Cyber School. Okay, learners, no, don't forget to write your second attendance marker flash on the top of your screen.
That's right.
Yes, Ma'am Hal.
So yes, we will now be discussing the English 9 lessons.
Yes,
alright?
okay, direct. Please go sa competency.
Yes, and our learning competency or the task that you are to perform, learners, is
To share personal opinion about the ideas listened to.
okay. That is correct. So this topic should also allow our learners to broaden their knowledge from what you have listened or from what they have listened in any form of information and be able to share their own perspective and thoughts that through different means of communication. So this will develop your critical thinking skills and also your sharing, how you share your views on different issues, because yes, we have a lot of issues going on around us, and
Every day.
yes, every day. That is
Yes.
correct. So every day also we need to take note of these guiding principles for effective listening, because we cannot actually share without listening first, because listening is a receptive skill. So we cannot
Yes.
produce something, we cannot talk, we cannot speak without listening. So these are the guiding principles for effective listening, Sir Jade.
Okay, so the first one, stop talking.
Okay.
And then the second one, pay attention. And then the third one, read non-verbal cues. And then ask questions, resist distractions, don't interrupt, open your mind, and paraphrase.
That's correct. So you might be wondering, why is the first step stop talking? Yes, because actually, if you would like to listen intently, of course, you might also consider to hear out what the speaker
Yes,
wanted
that's
to
true.
say first before sharing your thoughts or point of views.
Yes.
All right. So we also have other things to consider aside from this guiding principles for effective listening. So this could be, okay. So these are the activities that we have. So you have activity number 1. The directions is actually to read the following questions and choose the letter of the correct answer. So this is for 2 points. So for example, you have there from the guiding principle for effective listening, what should you do first? Okay, so you just need to remember all those guiding principles. So what could be the answer for that first question? Okay, let us give them the answer because they have listened for FB Live. The correct answer for this is to stop talking.
Yes.
All right, so let's proceed to activity number 2. Your directions would be...
Okay, so you have to share your personal opinion from the content of this lesson that you had listened to through answering the questions below.
Okay.
So you be guided with the rubrics
Yes,
for the
that is
rating of
correct.
your answer.
Yes, you need to have, of course, the content and organization. So for 5 points each, you will have a total of 10 points. The question, the first one is, from your own point of view, why do you need to be a good listener? So why is it important to listen attentively or to listen well? And of course, the second question is, what is the importance of being able to share one's opinion? So why is it important?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's have now for English 10. So hi there to all our English 10 learners. Okay.
Yes.
So we have here our competency or the task that you're to do at the end, all right, of reading your SLM would be to critique. Yes, a literary selection based on the formalist approach. Okay, so what is formalist criticism, Sir Jade?
Okay, so it is defined as a literary criticism approach which provides readers with a way to understand and enjoy a work for its own inherent value as a piece of literary art. So formalist critics spend a great deal of time analyzing irony, paradox, imagery, and metaphor. They are also interested in a work setting, characters, symbols, and point of view.
All right, so if you can actually think about it, learners, when we talk about formalist criticism, we are actually after of all the elements in a story. For example, the elements of the story should include the characters, so we need to look into the characters. For example, how they behave, for example, through direct and indirect characterization. So, for instance, okay, there is a specific character and you wanted to identify if the character is flat, dynamic, round, static in the story. So, we can actually do that in a formalist criticism because we are after of the elements that make up a specific story. So unlike other criticism which do not focus on the elements, this one, the formalist criticism, focus on these, how the writer made use of imagery, for example, or made use of symbolism to express the theme. So there are questions that formalist critics should ask. The first one is, how is the work structure unified? Next.
Okay, so number 2, how do various elements of the work reinforce its meaning?
Yes, and we also need to ask what recurring patterns, repeated or related words, images, etc. can we find in the texts?
Yes, number 4, what is the effect of these patterns or motifs?
Okay, and of course, we also need to ask how does the repetition reinforce the theme?
Okay, and then how does the writer's diction reveal or reflect the work's meaning?
And we also need to look into the effects. What are the effects, or what is the effect of the plot and the parts specifically produce that effect? So we
Yes.
also have some other questions,
Yes.
such as
Okay, so number 8 now, what figures of speech are used? So it is metaphors, similes, or etc. And then you have to note the writer's use of paradox, irony, symbol, plot, characterization, and style of narration. So what effects are produced, and do any of these relate to one another or to the theme?
that is correct. And also, we need to also look into or analyze, is there a relationship between the beginning and the end of the story?
Yes, and then what tone or mood are created at various parts of the work?
And also, how does the author create? How does the author create tone and mood? What relationship is there between the tone and mood and the effect of the story? And lastly,
Okay, so lastly, how do the various elements interact to create a unified whole?
oh, yes, that is correct. So all of those questions, you might think there are 12 questions, and then you might think that it is not easy to answer them all. It's not your task to actually answer all these questions. Just point out one or two questions in which you will revolve your critic. No? So like for example, because you'll be writing an essay, so find at least two questions you think you are more comfortable with, or you think you can answer very well, and that is where your ideas should revolve, or should you explain the text.
Yes.
Okay. Your directions on the SLM is that your task is to read the story of Kish by Jack London. This is actually found on pages 299 to 305 of your English textbook, if you have your textbook with you, and to critique it using the formalist approach. And you are guided on how you will be rated, the rubrics.
Yes,
5
rubrics.
points for if you follow all the criteria.
Yes.
Okay, the first criteria, I could no longer read them. Okay, but those are found on your SLM.
Okay.
So, just be guided with those. So, let's have an example how to do the formalist criticism. So, this is an example introduction of a formalist criticism. So, the rose and a rose for Emily is a symbol of pity, which the readers would have towards Emily after reading her story. So, A Rose for Emily is a short, fascinating story written by William Faulkner, for example. It involves an old woman named Emily. So, this is not the text you are to explicate. You were told to explicate or to analyze the story of Jack London, no, found on your textbook. So this is just an example paragraph. So you might need to include the author, for example, the symbolism found. So in this given example, we are directed to the symbolism of the rose in A Rose for Emily. And we are told that the rose is not for an object of love or affection. It is an object for pity. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you could also analyze by examining underlying hidden message found within the story, just like symbolism. Okay, let us read this through, Sir Jade.
Okay, so A Rose for Emily can be analyzed by examining the underlying hidden message found within the story's usage of symbolism. So the hidden message that William Faulkner tried to express in his story was interpreting the next steps in the actions of Emily. So I want arsenic. Why, of course, the druggist said, if that's what you want, but the law requires you to tell what you are going to use it for. For rats, and Faulkner threw in hints of foreshadowing that most likely would not be noticed, and no one knows who exactly is going to be killed. Another occurrence in the story which shows foreshadowing happens when a neighbor saw the Negro man admit him at the kitchen door at dusk one evening, and that was the last we saw of Homer Baron. Also shows how the disappearance of Homer was that he left Emily unnoticed, or she killed him. It is also interesting how she does not die with Homer and dies in the basement. Either she regretted her actions or didn't want to be remembered as the crazy lady who died beside her lover.
Okay, that's right. So this is how we explicate using the formalist approach. So first one, the one that I read a while ago, is that we look into the symbolism of the rose. And the second one in here, we looked into the examining the hidden symbolisms also found in the story. So other symbolisms, okay, and foreshadowing, for example, because foreshadowing is actually very important, okay, in the story. It will tell us, it will give us hint as to what will happen in the next few parts of the story. So dear learners, you just need to be keen enough, or for a formalist criticism, you just need to look into the different elements, the interplay of these elements, and make sure to give your own good analysis of the story, and you're good to go. You will have a perfect score from your teacher. So yes.
Okay, so that's all now for our English 10. So English 7 to 10. Okay, now learners, your third attendance marker flash on the top of your screen. So don't forget to
Copy.
to
Right.
copy. And yes, Ma'am Mahal.
Alright, so yes, dear learners, we would like to thank you all for still being with us here still in Astral Academy, of course. And we would like to thank our executive producer, Sir Gus Sapi, the entire production team, right?
And of course,
headed by you.
Huh?
Alright, okay.
And the learners,
Yes,
yes.
this has been Mama Halia from Santa Maria National High School.
Teacher Jade from Tanglong City National High School.
Alright, and this is still
Astral Academy Cyber School.
Goodbye, learners. See you again next time, same time.